Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends all across the globe today, and welcome back to a modding tutorial. So today I will be teaching you guys how to make a new species using ACSE, otherwise an ACSE-based mod. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about what ACSE does, nothing really too in-depth, but ACSE basically allows you to make smaller files and a lot better functional animals. We're able to edit like slight things, kind of like animation speeds now. We're slightly able to edit stuff like juvenile scaling and better scaling for animals, and it essentially allows us to get a lot better and cleaner product in the end. So from all points going forward, I thoroughly endorse you guys to follow this tutorial until, like, a written tutorial is maybe written out for you guys. Anyways, we're just going to jump right in here. Today, we are going to be recoding the fairy penguin, otherwise known as the little blue penguin, into ACSE. This will allow us to get a much better sized little blue penguin. And yeah, that's essentially it. So essentially what we're going to need first and foremost is an ACSE based mod to base this mod off of. It can be literally anything. In this case, I will be using, what can we use over here? I say we start by using the spadefish. Nice, easy name to remember. And we're going to start off by renaming this to our folder name. So I'm going to do Pang Blue. I'll even do it all in lowercase because I remember stuff better that way. So essentially what we're going to start off first is the manifest. This is always the same from before. So I use uuidgenerator.net/version1. And essentially all you do is generate a new user ID, and then you are totally fine to just paste that in right there. Make sure you don't go over the brackets. That does happen sometimes, and it is a little annoying when you try and search 30-40 minutes for it. So essentially you're going to change that folder name to Pang Blue, or whatever you're making your mod based off of. Now, today, since we don't have any ACSE mods based off of the African penguin, we're going to be working with that first and foremost. So what we're going to start off by doing, we're going to start by renaming and editing our normal main and init files. So essentially, we're going to change that to the folder name. So change that all to be Pang Blue, and then change the init to be Pang Blue. And then what we're going to do, we're going to drop the dat. Now, when you drop the dat, that essentially tells Cobra Tools that we want all the files to be kind of translated over to these files, otherwise known as dat files. This essentially hosts all the information that is located within the init and the main, which are comprised of a bunch of other folders. These are essentially a way to package files together. Now what we're going to do the same thing over here, except with capitalization. So we're going to do spadefish and change that out for Pang Blue, or whatever your 8-letter folder name will be. That will essentially do it for both the animal as well as the folder name. That is how I standardize my own mods, because it's so much easier and so much quicker to do it this way. Now what we're going to do, we're going to save using external dat. That essentially tells the Cobra tool to register what we just changed to inside those dat items into what we're changing it into be. So essentially we're just going to reload that. I still have the UI over there, so I'm just going to change that out of there, and we're going to delete those. So now we have these all perfectly set up, and just an easy way to check that is if you drag out one of the asset packages over here, you can open these up in text or Notepad, and it shows it off pretty nicely in there. So everything is changed to Pang Blue, which is great. Now moving forward, we have a few things that we're going to do in here. Now, when we actually do the FDBs, we only need 3 FDBs now. The education is fine on its own after you dat edit it, and I can show you an example of why, because I know a lot of people have done this manually in the past. Since it changes out spadefish, all of these get changed out. Every single instance where you see spadefish, it's now Pang Blue. So that even goes for info board materials and stuff like that, if you do so choose to actually include info boards. I highly suggest that you guys do. I'm just very lazy and waiting on the perfect time for me to actually update them all to have that. So what we're going to need over here is research, animals, zoopedia, and this one's very important over here. This is ACSE data. So we're gonna drop these all the way over here in new folder, and we're essentially gonna work off of this now. These are the only folders, well, not folders, these are the only items that we're going to be changing. Now over here for zoopedia, this is one of my favorite things that I kind of standardize as well for you guys. Just so it's so much easier, we're gonna look up little blue penguin. And we're going to go to Wikipedia. I know, Wikipedia, such an awful, awful platform. Not for this, though. We're essentially going to copy over genus. And we're going to go to genera and paste that in. And we're going to go to families. Go over here, paste that in. We're going to go to order, paste that in. And we're going to go to aves, and then paste that in. So now if we check down here at Zoopedia data, I should have showed you guys this before because it already changed it. But all these files, all these cells really reference back to these over here. So it automatically updates them and corrects them, which is a really awesome thing to have. Now moving forward through here, we also have research. This one gets a little bit tricky. It was tricky in the past because we had to manually type these out. But once again, this is so much easier. So you could already tell these have already been changed to pink blue. That is the result of our dat edit. That makes it so much easier. But what we still have to do are the research number IDs. Usually, a lot of the times when you do get a crash when you load into the map, it's probably because these conflict with another mod. But if you do some high number, kind of like whatever that is, I'm not even going to try and say that out, but I just tack on a couple extra numbers at the end just to make sure that they don't, like, you know, mess up with any other mod. Essentially, you could just copy all those over. And since that only goes up to 8, you just copy them from 9. And then since these are already in cell form, they will update just like that. And that's essentially it for Zoopedia and research. Now, there is a little bit more of a difficult thing over here. So what I have noticed before is that you probably want to take the easy way out with animals. So in this case, we're just going to go back here and find the original African penguin one, which is located in content 6. That is where we find the Africa DLC. So what we're going to do, we're just going to drag out animals right there, Control C to copy it, and then Control V to paste it. And I just want to reiterate, if at any point you guys have questions, the modding server, the link to the modding server is in the description down below. Please go there and ask in modding help of the Planet Zoo channel. I can show that off in just 1 second. Let me just actually find it for y'all. Over here, modding help. This is where a lot of the people tend to, like, you know, hang out and help you guys out whenever you guys do have questions. And we just like to help each other out over there. So if you guys do have any questions, you just pop it right in that chat over there. Now, what we're going to do with animals, you will notice that these are all the stock ones. Well, one of the old scripts that Chicago Zohan actually created was one of the old SQLite scripts. Now, these are located in the modding resources, and it's very easy to use. So I'm going to re-upload these later down the line. Just remind me in case if you guys do need the old ones, because that works perfectly for our new process. I know, it's quite ironic, isn't it? So I was just working on a hippopotamus mod, so what I'm going to actually change that to is African penguin. Essentially, these scripts will delete everything that isn't African penguin. So we copy them all from over here, and we copy that entire line right there, and we click on this little piece of paper with a pencil. Then we paste that in there, Control A to select it all, and then you click the play button. That executes the query and essentially takes care of deleting everything from the rest of those tables from you, so it's all set and done. Now, you may oftentimes come up with this error over here, very much often found with the Content 0 Animals FDB. This one is very easy to get rid of. So essentially what you're going to do, you are actually going to go to social enrichment data. And you'll notice that we have a lot of animals in here. You're just going to want to get rid of those. You can always add it back. There is a tutorial for that in modding resources on the Cobra Tool server, but I'm just showing you guys how to do this nice and quickly. And then you should be able to delete the rest of them. The one that isn't is the meerkat. If you do have animals that dig, you will need to get rid of that. So essentially, if you go to digging data, you can find the meerkat right there. Delete that. Same with the prairie dog. Content 7 has a lot of different things in here. Specifically the prairie dog and the beaver. They have like a few cells in here that are very specific to them that I do recommend you guys getting rid of. Now, we are all set with these scripts, so we can exit out of there. And what we have to take care of over here is our typical way of handling this. So what I'm going to do here is pang blue. That essentially changes our animal name. And you're just going to want to change African penguin to pang blue. Copy that over to the other prefabs. I'm going to change that to base game, just keep it nice and clean. And you're going to want to change male visuals over here. And this is another important part over here. If your animal has sexual dimorphism, you will want to have separate male and female ones. But since little blue penguin does not have any, you can leave it right there. What we also need to do is a juvenile as well. We change that to pang blue juvenile visuals. Those are prefabs. We're going to get into those in just a little bit. I just want to take care of this stuff over here first. So what we're doing, we're essentially just changing all of these over here. Animal name languages. This one is another little bit of a complicated one. So what I do have, names, animal name language. What is one of the Nordic, I believe. So if we try and Google that, I know you guys can't see it right here, but essentially what I also have in modding resources is a list of animal name languages. So this is essentially what names your animals, like Raoul or Jenny, or I don't really know, but either way, since we do want to give this guy an Australian name, we're just going to use Australian Modern. That gives him some relatively normal names in terms of, like, you know, the name atmosphere, I guess. I don't really know. But also moving down here, we will also change the size of these guys because they are quite a bit small. I'm just going to do 0.5 and 0.6 just for now. We'll actually change it later down the line to actually reflect the true size. I'll take care of that all off screen, so you guys don't need to see me prattling around with that. Now, what we do need to do is something that you don't need to do if you're doing an animal based off of a prefab that is already completed. So in case if you guys are making an African penguin prefab animal, you guys can use this. Just please ask me before you actually do use my code as a base. I would very much appreciate that, but if you do ask, you'll pretty much get it for your own coding purposes. But essentially what is happening over here are the prefabs. This is essentially what determines what animal is which. So what we're going to do over here, we're going to change all of these to be African penguin ones. So I have this over here. We have to thank Anaki. This is found in the modding resources as well. These are the prefabs exports, and we're just going to move it to a new instance over here. So essentially what happens in here, if we look up African penguin, give me 1 second. I'm just closing all these cells so it's a lot more organized. But we can get ready over here in just a little bit. This is essentially what tells our animal what its visuals look like. It tells it how it animates. It tells it how it functions in game. That's essentially the purpose of African penguin. I apologize, I'm using multiple monitors here, so you can't really see me type in some of this stuff over here, but I will do my best to, like, you know, illustrate what I'm doing going forward. So essentially, juvenile visuals, we're just going to paste that right over there, and we're going to do Alt-0 to close it all together. Now we're going to look for the next one. So if we just pull this back up one more time, we can find male cinematic. We don't need to worry about male cinematic. We just care about game, female, and male. So I found game. So we do that. Alt-0, close them all. Go back here. African penguin, female visuals. Copy them. When you do copy it, you drag it from the start of the first line to the start of the next line, but don't copy over here like where it says G. You copy it right before it, so it copies everything that's located in here. I'm using Notepad++, and that is pretty much the only way that I recommend you guys going about this. I'm either Notepad++ as like the baseline, and if there's a better program out there that works for you, I would suggest you guys use that. But this is how I've been learning how to use it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful little process. So we paste female there, and what we just need are male visuals. So we just keep on looking over here, and we found them. So we're just going to paste that in here. Again, you do not need to do this if you're making a mod already based on an ACSE-oriented mod. So if we go over here, we could check on the Nexus. I already have them for, I coded a lot of people's mods, so we can probably determine what is already done. We have one for the zebra, we have one for alligators and caiman, we have one for another caiman if we look at all mods, and we sort by date published, yes. Sharks are all set. The Mara is based off of the Fennec Fox. Ask Jen before you use that code as a base though. We have one for the Capuchin. We have them for the Sea Lion. Again, ask Narwhaler beforehand. Again, Ginger Toast, ask the Otter beforehand. We also have the baby cat over there. Again, all the ACSE data is out there. You just need to ask people beforehand. But if you're making a new mod based off of a completely new animal, this is the tutorial for you. Otherwise, you could just skip through most of this stuff. So essentially what we're going to go through over here is back to our ACSE data. So we're going to close out of this one now. I'm just going to exit out of there. And what I'm also going to pull up is another thing as well. You guys can probably find this from the actual ACSE data nonetheless. So what we're actually going to find is our juvenile scaling. So I will teach you guys how to scale juveniles as well. So essentially what we have to add over here is Wallaby ACSE data components. Otherwise, whatever it's based off of, we're just going to paste that over here. Since it's already done, we don't even need to do that, actually. We have to go to juvenile visuals, though. And inside components, there will be one for juvenile scale. This essentially just tells you how far you want your animal to be scaled. So let's just say I want 0.5 and 0.5, just so it always stays at 0.5. We keep that in there, minus out of that, and then we just copy it all the way over there. End it right there, so you copy all that over there. We're just going to add that to the components over here as well. And that should be all set. This does look a little jank, but if you just tab that a couple of times, it'll get back to its own original state. Now we could exit out of the other one that does have juvenile scaling, but what we actually need to get to is renaming these to be our code name. So we're going to change African penguin. I'll bring that right over there. And we're going to change that to be peng blue. That essentially just links everything back together. No, I don't want to reload this. Please don't. And we're going to replace the things again. So we're going to do African _ penguin, all capitalized. And we're going to replace all in open documents. And we're going to do that one more time. I apologize. African penguin, no space in the middle, no underscore in the middle, both capitalized. And that'll replace everything right there. Doing Alt-0 one more time to close them all. And then we just change all these to be capitalized, because if they are not capitalized, they will not work, please keep in mind. So what we're doing is just changing that all. And there you go. You officially coded your main of the animal. Of course, you can get a lot more finicky with it. ACSE data allows you to do a lot more advanced stuff now. But for the time being, that's all I'm going to teach you guys, just for now, because that's all we really need for this animal. Now, what I also have are my localized files. This is where it tells you what your Zoopedia is going to consist of, what the animal name is. Since we already did the little blue penguin before, I already have the lock file for it done. So we're just going to move it right into there. Unfortunately, I do need to change the name of it in here to reflect our actual animal name. So we're going to change blue penguin to be peng blue. And that's just a quick one and done. And it's very much like that. What I actually think I will do too, believe it or not, this is actually going to be wicked crazy of me. I'm just going to go in here and change that. Actually, it's already done. So we're all good on there. Now, what I also have are my dummy folders for translations. This is essentially just open folders that contain all the translation links. So in case if you are playing in Czech, for example, if you don't have anything in here, the animal will not have a name. So we're going to fix that by copying the lock file into United Kingdom in the English folder, and we're just going to do that all throughout here. It's a little tedious, but with the dummy folders, it is a lot easier and it goes a lot quicker. So do keep that in mind when you do go about this. Always keep these on hand. A lot of the times, for my ease of mind, I have all of my modding folders all linked up over here. So do keep that in mind when you guys do mod. Keep everything close to you at all times, just in order to max out on efficiency. And that's something that I've learned after coding so many people's mods. Always try and find efficient ways around things. Usually you don't really run into shortcuts, but it just proves a lot easier when it comes to the entire modding process as a whole. So essentially we're just copying it into Spanish. Spanish has 2 folders in there, do keep in mind. We do have European Spanish and we do have Hispanic Spanish. So there we go. All of our localized folders are done. Now what's left are 2 more folders. We have animals in here, so we're going to change this to Pang Blue. And we are going to copy in our animals over here. I already have them all set and ready to go. So what we can do over here is change that to be Pang Blue. I keep on typing penguin. I apologize. And what we're also going to do over here is change this to Pang Blue. Essentially, that just links everything back up, back with the ACSE data, back with the FDBs, and it is all set. Now we're going to change African Penguin to Pang Blue, but be sure to tick Animal OVL mode first. That essentially just renames the model so that it's referenced back in the ACSE data. Now what else we're going to do? We are going to code the rest of our animal. So I usually like to take the first word in here, African for example, AFRICAN, that is 7 characters. And since I know that this is 8 characters, I could just delete 1 and then make sure to untick that right there so that nothing's ticked over there. And then we Control R and then rename it. That essentially takes care of that. And we're going to do the same thing over here, African _ penguin. We're going to go to Animal OVL mode, Control R, and then African Pang Blue. There we go. Control S to save, and then we're all done right there. Now what we're going to do is change these to be capitalized and do rename contents. That essentially is an advanced dat edit that Cobra Tools handles itself. So it's so much cleaner, it's so much more efficient. Specifically for these, because there are some things that it chooses not to rename, that does help it work in game a lot better. Last thing that we have to do is our UI. So we're just going to change Spadefish to Pang Blue. And we're going to change Spadefish to Pang Blue. And essentially, we're just going to pop right in here, Pang Blue, and we're going to change Spadefish. So we Control R, save, there we go. Control R, save, there we go. And what I like to do over here, just to keep myself organized, I like to do UI folders on the side. So I do UI hyphen little blue penguin. And it's kind of good because this is a new model anyways. I got to redo the UI for it. And essentially you could just drag out your texture files over here. And you could drag out the rest of your texture files over here. And now you'll have all your UI for it. Since the Spadefish doesn't have an albino, these are left over from the Wallaby. Pretty much all my ACSE mods have this as its grandfather. So you may see something related to the Wallaby in there. Look at how good the Spadefish looks. Amazing job to that team. So essentially what we're going to do over here, I think we're all set, guys. So we're going to test it in game. I'm going to let you guys watch this entire process and watch me struggle through this all because it is very important to the learning process. And while we do load in, I'm just going to take a little sip of my coffee. And there we go. I'm refreshed. All right. So one of the perks of ACSE is the fact that games load so much faster when you have ACSE mods. Back when we coded things the other way around, unfortunately, we weren't really able to, we weren't able to change the bloat on our files. We're just going to load into my test suite right over here. So because the folders and the items and the files were so bloated with useless stuff, the game would take so much longer to load. But since we have ACSE and can do pretty much everything from scratch, the game loads 10 times faster, which is amazing. And what we're doing right now, we're just loading into a test map. If you are planning on modding, I always suggest to have a test map where you just throw all your animals. Kind of like this, you can see the swamp wallaby right here. Hopefully that should be out by the time the mod comes out. Well, the video comes out. We also have the golden-bellied capuchin right there. But what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to go into this little query right here. So lf enable debug. This is a little tool that modders have. If you don't have it, just reach out to Anaki if you are planning on modding. And it essentially allows you to spawn your animals in without needing to go through the trade center. So what we're looking for is pang blue, and we can spawn in a male, and there we go. It spawns in perfectly, and this looks so good. Oh my gosh. So one of the problems I have been running into is issues with the fur, but this already looks so much better. But yeah, that's how we essentially get that in there. And we could also instantly spawn in babies as well. So if we go down here to pang blue, if I can find it, I apologize. Sometimes I don't even know how to spell. So pang blue juvenile, it should just be a normal African penguin, but that's pretty much fine. They kind of look the same anyways. But there we go. That is essentially it. We officially coded a new mod. If you guys do have any questions, definitely do let me know. I still gotta do the lots on that guy, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue. If you guys do have any questions, definitely do let me know in the comments or DM me. Just straight up DM me. I am more than happy to help you guys out in trying to get more mods out, because Lord knows I can't carry this all on my back. But essentially, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys make some wonderful mods out there pretty much, you know, the second that this comes out. It's been a really great time over here. Again, do keep in mind when you do mod at the risk of breaking your own game. But if you follow my tutorials, all the same, you guys should be totally fine. And yeah, that's essentially it. Let's hope that 1.9 doesn't break the coding process. Otherwise, it may be a little bit bad. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, and have the most wonderful of wonderful days. Bye-bye now.